Do you like fantasy football and sports betting? Come join us here at the Parlay Fantasy Football Podcast, where hosts Matt, Shane, and Jason talk about fantasy players, lineups, and sports betting to help you compete and win championships. And of course, some extra cash. Let's jump right into the show.
Welcome back to another episode of the Parlay Fantasy Football Podcast. Matt, Shane, and Jason with you guys here on this lovely March 14th night. Boys, how are we doing tonight?
Oh, I am doing fantastic, sir. Coach, how are you? It is great to be back with your beautiful faces, and now it's cool that everybody can join us and finally see our beautiful faces. I see Jason was prepared and wore a Texans uni, which makes me sad because I should have worn my Chiefs stuff. Should have had Mac and his Steelers stuff on. But hey, it's good to be out here, and it's great to finally get this going in a big new way.
It's a great week to be a Texans fan, y'all. I've never felt this enjoyment being a Texans fan for my entire life. I need to get a new jersey since we don't have to nuke anymore. But hey, great week, great free agency pickups this week. So I'm ecstatic. I can't even talk right now. I'm so happy.
It's kind of funny, finally, like Shane said, you guys can follow us, and now you can see who the voice or the face of the voice. So guys, we are still working on a little bit of kinks here and there, but it looks like we're going to be able to go to YouTube and hopefully some more platforms here soon. But if you guys want to follow us on any of our socials, you can find Shane at Shane Parlay FF. You can find myself at Matt_Parlay FF, and you can find Jason at Jason Parlay FF. Or you can just go over to the actual pages, okay? It's the Parlay Pod on both X and on Instagram. We're going to start getting the ball rolling a little bit more on this, but we can't thank you guys enough for all the support you've been giving us, current support, new support. We hope that you guys continue to share and like and do it, and just follow us, all right? If you guys want to follow us on all our podcasting platforms, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify, Pandora, iHeartRadio, we're on all those platforms, guys. The Parlay Fantasy Football Podcast. Give us a follow. Leave us a 5-star review. It does help the show out, guys. We're going to continue to progress. Okay, we're going to continue to progress and get better at this for you guys, because we're here for you. But yeah, we're just thankful for all the support. Like Jason said, there has been a lot of free agent pickups. Okay, it's been nuts, and it's been kind of hard to wrap our heads around the whole situation because it's just things are constantly continuing to come out. But that being said, guys, what do you think of all these big name free agent pickups that have just been rifling? Okay, because we had some speculations last week, some things happened, a few things happened, but now we're a lot of the big, there's still a couple left. There are still a couple left, and I'm sure there's more to come. There's a lot of names out there. A lot of names got signed. So what do you guys think?
Listen, I think that a lot of teams went and got what would have been a fantastic running back to have on your roster if this was the 90s. But I think they overpaid for the position, and I think it's going to be an interesting situation to see how all that stuff kind of works itself out. But other than that, I think that there were a lot of interesting landing spots, and, Calvin Ridley to the Titans might be one of the spiciest and the most head-scratching.
Oh, dude.
It's been a lot of interesting things. Saquon to the Eagles, also kind of a head-scratcher, because, it's just going to be Jalen Hurts scoring touchdowns anyways, and, just rough out here for us fantasy people.
Jason?
Yeah, I love how the whole conversation through this past season was the running backs are neglected. They're not going to get paid. They're not going to get the extension. Then the first day of free agency, they all got paid. Which is hilarious because I don't think anybody was expecting it. And also the 2021 quarterback draft class, majority of those guys are on a different team this year. So
Yeah.
it's kind of crazy to see the movement with everybody, but the expansion with the salary cap, how it went up, everybody started getting the bag this year.
Well, let me just expand on this a little bit because I want to get your guys' thoughts. Don't want to spend a whole lot of time on it, but Shane already alluded to it. The Calvin Ridley, 4 years, $92 million, and 50 of that guaranteed for a 29-year-old receiver who, by the way, I'm not going to say that he didn't have like a good year last year. There was definitely very close plays, a couple balls overthrown, a couple balls underthrown, and he could have had a monster year. But that seems like a whole lot of money for a 29-year-old receiver. I don't know. What are your guys' thoughts on that? Like,
For a rebuilding
that
team.
kind of blew my mind. Yeah, that just blew it. Dude, I'm telling you now, it blew my mind. So what are your guys' thoughts real quick on the whole Calvin Ridley? Because that one really threw me.
Yeah, I disliked it immensely. I thought that it just showed the Titans don't know what direction they want to go. That or we're all wrong and Will Levis is that dude and no one has seen it yet. So like those are the two options. Either they really thought that Mike Vrabel was the issue and that Will Levis is the guy and they're trusting that, but they still didn't invest in their offensive line, which was what was so detrimental for them last year. So I think overspending in the wide receiver room when, like, yeah, that hurt you. So did mediocre quarterback play, and so did the fact that he couldn't stand upright for longer than 3 seconds. Like, I feel like it was an overspend. I understand it if they're going to address those situations in the draft, but right now it's a head scratcher because they have a lot of holes to fill, and that organization looks like it doesn't know which direction it wants to go.
Yeah, I
Any
agree.
thoughts on it?
I agree. I just think it's going to be a prove it year for Will Levis. It's, hey, you got the weapons around you now. Show us that you are going to be that dude for the future, and you have no excuse. But like what Shane said, they signed a center, and that's basically it. So are they just going to draft O-line and hope that helps keep Levis protected? Because he does have weapons. They got Pollard, Ridley, and Nuke. So it's one of those things where we'll see.
Yeah, and you know, you say, you know, Nuke and Calvin Ridley, who are both up there in age, they are, and their bodies will not last forever. In my personal opinion, Tony Pollard he's a good running back, but I still don't know that he's like a full-blown workhorse running back. And Tajay Spears, to all those people out there, don't forget about Tajay. I guarantee you he's going to have some play this year.
Yeah, this is your buy low opportunity. Just saying, like if you thought that Tajay was the dude prior to Tony Pollard going there, this is your opportunity to go get him for a very cheap price because I don't think Tony Pollard's that dude. I think that even the Cowboys thought that he's not that dude. They saw it last year. He's not the guy they thought he was. They thought he was Ezekiel Elliott when it had Ezekiel Elliott, and then they realized that he's not any form of that, and so that's why they let him walk and somebody else overpaid him.
Right. All right, guys, let's jump into the segment here.
News and notes from the NFL.
All right, guys, we're not going to cover every single free agent. Obviously, everything that has transpired, you guys probably all know about, but I do want to cover some news here. So the big one since the last time we talked, minus the whole Calvin Ridley and a couple other players, is Jason. I mean, I'm gonna let you talk first on this now. Houston Texans they traded for Joe Mixon, and his contract, pretty little good contract for the man. A 3-year, $27 million contract extension with $13 million guaranteed. So what do you think about that? I mean, we all know that Dameon Pierce is still there. I'm assuming it's going to be some kind of split backfield. But what are your thoughts on getting Joe Mixon? Because the Texans are looking pretty good.
Right. So we need a playmaker out of the backfield, and according to reports, we made a strong effort to sign Saquon, but I think it was just way out of our budget to where what we wanted to pay a running back, and the Eagles gave him a lot of guaranteed money. So
Right.
with the news of Jacobs going to the Packers and Aaron Jones being out there, I thought we were going to go after Aaron Jones. But whenever you saw the news that the Bengals were going to release Mixon, my first thought was, okay, this guy's going to hit the free agency market. Cool. We can offer him a solid deal. What I read was the Texans did not want that to happen. That's why they offered up a 7th-round pick and say, we want this guy. This is going to be our guy. And I love the move. Our front office is aggressive this free agency. We had the money to spend, and I think Joe Mixon is going to do great things in a Texans uniform.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a pretty good signing. Joe Mixon, he is getting a little bit older, but
Mhm.
I think between him and Damian Pierce, who I think is still going to have some play in Houston, I think they just, they obviously we all know Devin Singletary did not. They released him. He signed with the Giants, got a pretty nice little contract.
He resurrected his career.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, Devin Singletary looked good last year.
Mhm.
And
Yeah, 3 years, $16.5 million is what the Giants paid Devin Singletary.
that's pretty. I'll take that. I'd take that. But no, getting a guy like Joe Mixon, who's proven, who still has a little bit of juice left in his body, and he's a good pass catcher out of the back. I think it's a good move. I do think it's a good move for Houston. Shane, what do you think?
Yeah, I think that the fit is correct. My only issue is trading for a running back. I understand that the compensation they gave up really wasn't that massive. So like that's a nice upside, and you're not going to hit a Pacheco like very often. And so understanding that, yeah, it was a very savvy move by the front office. I think the extension may have been a little rich, but they had money to spend, and the free agent market, honestly, the remaining free agents aren't in the majority of the positions they need. They address those early, So I think that it was a good move. I think it was a savvy move, but I would grade it like a B, like a solid B. Like,
So let me ask you this.
Mhm.
Yeah, okay, yeah, I mean that's pretty fair. But let me ask you this. So Jason, since you are the resident Houston Texans fan, did you would you have rather had or kept Devin Singletary, or would you have rather done what Houston did and go and trade for Joe Mixon?
So I texted Shane saying I wouldn't mind keeping Singletary since he did perform well at the end of last year, but I would rather have Mixon over Singletary, to answer your question.
I mean, do you guys know what Mixon finished last year without looking it up?
He came on strong the second half of the year.
I mean, do you know where he finished in the running back ranks?
I would
just take a guess.
I would assume like running back 14 or
9,
somewhere in the dead zone to me.
No, he finished at running back 5.
Really?
Yeah.
Strong.
Was that because
was
that because of the one blow up game in the week like 16 or whatever? Like
that was a big part of it. Yes.
Yeah.
He probably would have finished if he didn't have that blow up game. He probably would have finished in between like running back 9 and running back 12.
I think that he's one of those fantasy producers that unfortunately has a big blow up game, and that basically is the entire outcome of his entire season. Which is his points per game is pretty rough. But I think he's a significant upgrade from Devin Singletary, and I think that the Houston offensive line with their scheme is gonna maybe unlock him in a way that Cincinnati wasn't focused on doing. Because Cincinnati is a significant, like you don't not air raid when you have Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. So I
got another one for you. Obviously, Derrick Henry signed with Baltimore. And there were a lot of things. I mean, we talked about it last week. We thought Dallas was a big play. Like, we thought that was a very real possibility. Well, he came out, I don't know if it was today or yesterday, but he came out and said that Dallas never even contacted him. I don't know if you guys were aware of that news, but apparently Dallas had never even called him, never even contacted him or anything. So he was like, it was definitely the Baltimore Ravens. That's where I was going. So what do you think of that situation? Both those situations that Dallas didn't call, and just where he fits and lines up in Baltimore.
I think it's a great fit for him in Baltimore. I feel like Dallas and Baltimore were the only two teams that could have made him fit for the workhorse running back that they need. But Henry stays healthy. That downhill running attack with Baltimore is now scary, dangerous, and I think every linebacker in the league is going to hate playing against them, especially whenever it gets cold November, December time. Dallas, I think their front office is asleep right now. Just asleep at the wheel, very prideful. They want to go to the draft. They're trying to save money. They know they have to pay Dak, but we'll see what happens. But they're just asleep at the wheel at the moment.
I mean, Dak currently has 2 police investigations involving him right now. I don't know if they're going to end up paying Dak, but I think that the landing spot for Derrick Henry was a dream scenario. I thought that the Ravens got him at a substantially lower cost than they probably could have. I feel like it was what I expected was more like 2 years, $20 million. So like that $4 million savings, I feel like it was substantial. And I think that Henry fits what the Ravens need out of a running back.
What was his contract?
2 years, $16 million.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, still.
That's
$8 million a pop.
That's a good deal.
So like I feel like it was a great financial investment for the Ravens, and they now have a backfield that every defense should be very, very worried about. And you know that their defense is really good. So yeah, the Ravens substantially solidified their position as a Super Bowl challenger for this upcoming year. I will say that I think that the DeAndre Swift to the Bears signing might have been the most puzzling for me, Matt, aside from obviously Calvin Ridley. But I thought that one just made absolutely zero sense.
Yeah, he got paid a lot of money. Obviously, when he was with the Lions, there was a lot of I don't know if controversy is the right word, but his last 2 years, I don't know if it was just not, he didn't perform. He wasn't getting along well with the coaches, so on and so forth. Then he went to Philly and had a pretty darn good year, looked explosive, looked fast. But people don't realize that Philly had one of the best offensive lines. It's easy to make a running back look good when your offensive line is that good. He went out, got himself a bag full of money, which he's probably not pissed about. But Chicago's offensive line is not Philly's offensive line. And so it's going to be, and don't forget, you still have Khalil Herbert's still there, Roshan Johnson's still there. It's not going to be DeAndre Swift all 4 downs. It's just not going to happen. So, it puzzled me as well, Shane. I didn't know what Chicago was thinking there. To me, it just sounds like they're trying to just stack big name players, and because now if they keep Fields, which I don't know, are you guys on board? Do you guys think they're going to keep Fields? Right? I'm kind of leaning that direction now.
I think it's more of a possibility they keep him. However, I do think that Jason had a good point. We were talking on the phone earlier this week, and he said there is a good opportunity to keep Justin Fields as trade bait for later in the season.
That could be too.
But
my big thing is,
I don't disagree with that thought process.
No, yeah, I don't disagree at all. My big thing is if they keep Fields and they're going, I'd venture to say they're going to either. I think they're going to take MHJ if they keep Fields.
I also think that that's a very real possibility that people are neglecting. I don't want to take a hit of the copium here and say that Justin Fields is like for sure the starter in Chicago. I think that there are question marks about Caleb Williams, And I think that he is a great prospect, don't get me wrong, but I think there are significant question marks, and I think that the unresolved situation with Justin Fields will just make it worse. So it's a very interesting situation for that front office.
If they traded Fields, where would they go? Where would he go? Washington?
At the moment, I don't think there's going to be any buyers for Fields.
No, I'm just saying, I agree with you. I think he ends up staying in Chicago. But if they were to trade him, I mean, the only team that is still kind of, in my opinion, that would be potentially searching for a starting quarterback would be Washington, right?
Maybe Raiders.
Oh, I guess the other.
Well, they just signed Gardner Minshew though, so
right, exactly.
To a super fat contract as a bridge quarterback, which is insane to me. Especially when apparently Chicago hasn't made Justin Fields available, which also I don't know if that just is shouting into the void, like how disoriented that organization is. But like, if they're not trying to trade Justin Fields, then that tells you that maybe they aren't sold on Caleb.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of what I'm gathering. To be honest with you, I mean, if you were Chicago and you decided to keep Justin Fields, who clearly, guys, we see him on the field. The guy has talent. It's not that he's not a talented quarterback. He's fast. He's got a rocket for an arm. He, in my opinion, lacks a little bit of field awareness. He still makes some mistakes. But you've got DJ Moore. You traded away Darnell Mooney, but you got DeAndre Swift. Cole Kmet is still there. You go ahead and draft a guy like MHJ or Malik Neighbors or something like that, then your wide receiver should be set.
Oh yeah, and if they could trade the one and trade back and still pick at 9, they could get a really, really good wide receiver prospect at like 3. And then select like Joe Alt or somebody to shore up that line, and that team turns a massive corner in a very short span. And they still have draft capital next year, so if they want to, they can play the game of, hey, let's figure out if Fields actually is good. And I don't know that's the smartest move as the organization, but
I don't know that the fans would be happy.
You could get the bag for that first overall pick and just keep on trading back and just acquire first round picks for the next 2-3 years.
Yeah, I mean,
but do you want to pay Fields? Is the thing.
That's the question. I don't know that they do. I really don't, because again, I look at it as Washington, Minnesota. Because I'm sorry, Vikings fans, but Sam Darnold is not that dude. I don't know. There's some. It's a lot of question marks, and why we're excited. We're pumped. We're geared up to get into this.
So I have Minnesota trading up to take JJ McCarthy. Just saying.
Okay. I don't hate that.
But also, I think that maybe Fields to the LA Rams makes sense.
Okay.
Like you trade him to the Rams. The Rams aren't going to start him immediately, but he gets to set behind Matthew Stafford and adjust to the Sean McVay offense. And then when Stafford's ready to hang up the cleats, you have your next Jordan Love. Because Fields isn't old. Like that's the other thing. And
no, yeah.
He has plenty of talent. So I feel like that would be a fantastic landing spot for him.
Okay, next question for you guys here is where do you think Hollywood Brown ends up? Because obviously you've got Hollywood Brown. The Chargers just released Mike Williams. And we know his injury history, but the guy, when he's healthy, he's a fantastic receiver, catches everything. But what do you think of Hollywood Brown, Mike Williams? Where do you think potential landing spots for those guys would be?
The Patriots need to make a move.
Puke. If I'm one of those dudes, I am not signing with the Patriots. I understand the Patriots need to make a move, but none of those people are motivated to go to the Patriots.
I mean, it does make sense, though, Jason. It does. But, where do you – I mean, I think the Steelers still need a receiver. They just traded away Deontay Johnson to the Panthers. Good luck in Carolina, Deontay. But where do you think – what's a good landing spot for those two guys? What would be your favorite spot for them to see them go?
I mean, the media's favorite spot for them to go is the Chiefs. One of the two lands at the Chiefs. That's everybody in the media is salivating about that opportunity. I think, though, the true landing spot that I would want Mike Williams to go would be Buffalo if I am a Mike Williams fantasy football holder. Because they need someone to line up opposite, like Stephon Diggs, and with Gabe Davis gone, I love Khalil Shakir, but I don't know if he can be that guy. And as much as I would like to test that theory, I don't know if I am willing as an organization to bet on that. And I think that maybe Hollywood fits that same mold. I don't know that Hollywood is going to get the same suitors that Mike Williams would, because he's just a different player.
But you do realize that Curtis Samuel just signed a massive contract with Buffalo.
Yeah, I still don't think
it was it's crazy. That one blew my mind too. Big contract.
I really didn't like that signing for. I mean, don't get me wrong, Curtis Samuel is still a baller, but that is an odd pairing in my opinion, and they already have a slot guy with Khalil, so I kind of huddled when I saw the news come across that Curtis Samuel's there, because I felt like they could have maybe spent that money elsewhere, because they have a lot of holes as well, especially now on the defensive side. So it'd be cool to see. It'd be cool to see him in Texans uniform. Just saying.
Jason,
don't go there.
What do you think? What do you think, Jay?
Yeah, I mean, I said the Patriots just because I think the Patriots need help offensively, just in general. But I do like the Buffalo Bills just for Hollywood Brown to open up that downfield passing game, because we all know Hollywood can still get open and be a downfield threat. It's interesting because a lot of these teams have already signed receivers to kind of big contracts. So you're sitting here. I like Hollywood going back to the Ravens potentially, but they just signed Nelson Aguilar. So it's one of those things where Hollywood wants to compete and he wants to win. So now it's whatever team can give him the money to where he's okay with playing for that's going to be a contender. And I do like the Chiefs. I think the Chiefs actually really does make sense for both these guys. But the Chiefs know that they don't really have to pay receivers to win.
True. That is true. I think one of those two going to the Chiefs would make sense, just because they're both veterans. They've been in the league for a while. I think a veteran receiver would help Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce and Rashee Rice. So that's a good landing spot. I also wouldn't mind seeing one of those guys going to New Orleans Saints, across from Chris Olave. Mike Thomas, he won't be back with the New Orleans Saints this year. Chris Olave, he needs someone on the opposite side to help free him up. And Derek Carr could benefit from a receiver veteran that stays healthy, doesn't create drama.
My only issue with that is I don't know if they have the cap space.
Right, that's the big part. I don't think they do, but it would be nice for them to get a veteran like that.
Yeah, I definitely see that, and I see the merits of that too. I think the Jags are a sneaky landing spot, filling the void for Calvin Ridley. I know they added Gabe Davis, and I know they still have Zay Jones and Christian Kirk, who's my biggest winner of free agency so far. Calvin letting Christian Kirk go back on the outside is huge for his fantasy value. But I really don't know that there are a lot of teams that fit what Mike Williams does currently that have the situation for him to want to step in. Maybe Atlanta is a great spot for him to land as well, considering the fact that they have Drake London and Kyle Pitts, and they have money to spend still, despite the fact that they blew a bag on a 35-year-old coming off an Achilles.
And don't get me wrong, I think the Steelers still need to sign a receiver too. I don't know that either. I guess either one would.
Yeah, which one would you prefer? That's the real question. Which one would you prefer they sign?
To be honest with you, I think I'd prefer more of a Mike Williams type, just because. And I know Kenny Pickett, or not Kenny Pickett. Wow, George Pickens is that he's a fairly tall receiver, but he makes acrobatic catches. Hollywood Brown is the speed guy, in my opinion, that just runs straight down the field. His route running isn't like crisp. And if I were to have someone that runs straight down the field and just catches jump balls or whatever, I'd prefer Mike Williams. Listen, Russell Wilson, he still throws a cannon of a ball, but he's known for his moon balls. And having a guy like Mike Williams, big-bodied guy, he can jump up and catch those moon balls. So I would prefer Mike Williams if one of those guys did go to the Steelers, but the injury stuff really makes me wonder. It makes me question things. But yeah, I mean, I'm interested to see where those two guys are going to go, where they're going to end up landing, because it's going to be soon. Someone's gonna grab him somewhat soon. So
yeah, there were already rumors that the Chiefs were in contact with Mike Williams as soon as the release happened. I will say that I think that it's interesting that the Steelers moved off of Deontay Johnson. I think that puzzled me a lot. And I also thought it was a very savvy move for Carolina, considering the fact that they had the lowest separation rate of all teams in the NFL last year. And Deontay Johnson, the one thing he does fantastically well, is get open. I think
and drop footballs.
He does drop footballs, but he gets open, and that's something that is an improvement for Carolina at this point. Like, if they can have somebody get open, that's a massive step in the right direction. Now Bryce Young just has to figure out how to deliver the ball in a spot where people can catch it.
Right, and I think it helps Bryce Young a little bit, knowing that he'll have a receiver that can separate. So, and this is Bryce's year to figure it out. I mean, they're not going to give him another year if he does not figure it out this year. At least make improvements. He ain't gonna figure it out. Let me ask you this: what in the free agency that's happened so far? What has been your favorite free agent signing and destination by any of the teams that have signed a free agent?
Jalen Reagor to the New England Patriots. Sorry, that one, yeah. My favorite signing, honestly, for the 30 minutes that coexisted where they still kept their lead running back, was Josh Jacobs to the Green Bay Packers, because I thought that Josh Jacobs and Aaron Jones was going to be filthy. And all of Twitter was in absolute euphoria. So I was not the only one on that boat. Unfortunately, that's not going to happen. So like that euphoria will wear off quickly. But I do think that that's a very, very good landing spot for a very good running back. I think that the most low key landing spot, like signing, was Irv Smith to the Chiefs. And I know that sounds homery, but you're talking about a tight end.
Homery, Shane.
That like. He was a tight end that produced well in offenses. He's still only 26. And he has a massive athletic upside. And they signed him for 1 year, $1.3 million. Like, I thought that was a very, like, they needed depth at tight end, considering all of Noah Gray and the plethora of backup tight ends we had for Travis Kelce walked out. I thought it was a good signing. I thought it was a cheap signing. Honestly, though, a lot of the signings so far have been rough.
Yeah, so I have two, but the first one, I'm like Shane, it's gonna sound a little homery, but Russell Wilson to the Steelers. People don't understand. People rag on Russell Wilson for being authentic, for being who he is. He is a quirky, weird kind of guy, says weird things, but that's what makes Russ, right? But to go to the Steelers and sign a 1 year, $1.2 million contract, knowing that he's getting paid from Denver. I mean, the Steelers got themselves a future Hall of Fame free quarterback who is still probably still has 5-6 years left in him in the NFL. Now, it's a massive upgrade from what the Steelers had. And I think he's going to deliver the ball. He's known for his fourth quarter comebacks, like I said last week. That's one of my favorite signings just because it was so cheap. It was free, basically. And you get a good quarterback. Jason, what about you?
See, I'm going to stick with your team. I love the signing of Patrick Queen to y'all's
Oh
defense.
yeah. Oh yeah. That was
It's
massive.
it's basically saying, Russell, do not turn the football over. Be smart with the ball. We're gonna run the ball. We're gonna rely on our defense, just like basically what happened whenever you were with the Seahawks and won a Super Bowl. Rely on the defense. You're gonna get 8, 9 wins, easy. Hopefully 10. You make the playoffs and you go from there and lean on it. Then I also love Daniil Hunter for my Texans.
Oh
We
yeah. That
basically
was a good one.
swapped Grenard for Hunter, and Hunter said that he basically took a hometown discount because he wanted to be back in Houston with this team, and I feel like it's a massive upgrade.
Yeah. Can I rebound off Jason's and say Aziz Al-Shahir for the Texans as well? I thought that was a very savvy signing, bringing in what is a great downhill linebacker. The only issue for the Texans now is they don't have a cover linebacker that sticks out on their roster. But if you want to talk about not wanting to come across the middle and face Christian Harris or Al-Shahir, that is a defense that I am avoiding running between the tackles at all costs and avoiding throwing slants at all costs for the health of my players.
Yeah, another one that I did like, and I think it's just going to be good for his future, is, I mean, it was a big contract. It did puzzle people, but Saquon going to Philly, division rival. Listen, the last few years we've seen Saquon. He's been banged up a little bit, but the difference that he is going to have in offensive lines is going to be so drastic. If Saquon can find that juice again, obviously Jason Kelsey retired. We all know that Jalen Hurts is still going to score touchdowns with using his legs. We all know this. But Saquon got 6 touchdowns behind one of the worst offensive lines in football last year. If you don't think that he's going to score 6 touchdowns on the ground this year, as long as he doesn't get injured and still has some juice left in his legs, Saquon is going to be, it's going to look drastically different. I do like the signing. It was the money. It was a lot of money. So you are really relying on Saquon staying healthy and actually providing. But if he does, it's going to be worth it. I mean, that's my opinion on Saquon.
Yeah, I concur. I also thought it was wild that they basically attempted to set the market with Saquon and also then proceeded to set the market with Bryce Huff.
Yeah,
I thought that contract was kind of shocking considering the fact that their defensive line wasn't the issue last year. And the fact that they decided to not spend any money on any of the safeties that were released or any of the cornerbacks that are out there was a very interesting strategy. Like Geno Stone going to the Bengals, I thought was hella overlooked because Geno is a fantastic safety and they got him for cheap, and yet the Eagles decided to go bolster a position they're already deep at and were already one of the best units in football at. So is he a fantastic player? Without a doubt. Does it move the needle? I don't know.
right. Yeah. What has been, this one could get tricky. What has been, in your opinion, the worst free agent signing? It could be something that the free agent, screwed himself in a way because he's going to a worse team. It can be one that you don't like because it's going to a division foe, so on and so forth. What in your opinion has been the one signing that you're like, yeah, I don't like that?
Brian Burns getting traded to, where'd he go? The New York Giants, when the Panthers got offered 2 first-round picks at the trade deadline and then sold him for a 5th and a 2nd.
2 fifths.
2 fifths and a 2nd. Then signed to a 5-year deal, $150 million. Panthers, what are you doing?
Poverty
No one knows,
organization.
dude.
Poverty organization.
Like, that just blows my mind that they would make that trade free agency and not try to offer him a contract like that.
Shane?
The biggest head scratcher for me so far, I mean, I'm going to go back to what I said earlier, and that's Calvin Ridley. I think that was my biggest, like, WTF moment. Because apparently he was offered more money by 2 organizations, and he chose the one organization that has no direction currently. And so he got a bag. I think that it's an interesting landing spot.
Yeah, so mine was definitely the Calvin Ridley one, but if I had to pick another one, and it just happened today. I don't know the details of what the contract is going to be or anything like that, but there's been reports that AJ Dillon is going to re-sign with the Green Bay Packers. And it's like, I mean, if you don't want to leave, you don't want to leave. Josh Jacobs is coming in there, so you're not going to be the lead back. Why wouldn't you want to go to another organization where you have a chance to compete for more playing time? Like Dallas, what the hell are you doing? I heard rumblings today when Derrick Henry did not go to the Cowboys that they were thinking about, potentially picking up AJ Dillon as a 50-50 back, where he could have some success in Dallas. That's another one that kind of makes me scratch my head a little bit. The DeAndre Swift one, like, it makes sense. I get it, but it's another kind of head scratcher in my opinion.
All right, so I have a tasty bit of information for everybody out there.
Oh, I like it.
Dallas's lead medical doctor for their entire team did the surgery on Jonathan Brooks. I think that Dallas is comfortable with that process and will be drafting Jonathan Brooks, possibly in the second round. And I think that they are going to trust that they can make it through, hopefully, the first 3 weeks without him, and that he'll be back by the time the majority of the season is underway. And I think that is the current plan that they are cooking up as far as filling the void at running back. That or they're just going to take a shit ton of shots in the draft and see what happens.
So they're basically going to rely on Deuce Vaughn right now?
Well, the other guy, I can't remember his name. Who was Pollard's backup?
He's not currently signed.
Yeah, Deuce Vaughn's the only running back that they have.
Yeah, Deuce is the only player on the. Yeah, Deuce is the only guy on the depth chart right now. So I think that they'll make a signing. It probably won't be a splashy one, obviously, because the majority of splashy signings are gone. But I think that they'll make a signing to hold over the organization unless they truly do think that he can be back. Which, I mean, we've seen crazier turnarounds. We've seen people come back from Achilles in the same season. So, I think that it's a very real possibility that they either go get him or Trey Benson, and that they are okay with that. And Jerry Jones also doesn't want to pay another running back, I feel like, at this point.
Yeah, that's kind of what I gather. So if you are listening, any other NFL organization, go and draft Jonathan Brooks before Dallas can get him.
Dallas drafts him in the first round.
You guys. Oh boy. Okay, let's move off free agents. Everybody's probably heard enough about that. Let's who do you think? Do you guys know what the draft order is? Like who has the first, second, third, fourth pick this year?
For the most part, yes.
Bears, Commanders, Patriots, then Cardinals.
What do you think? Who's going number one? If you're guessing right now.
Caleb.
Yeah, unfortunately, I still think it's Caleb. I would love to say him. I would love to say Marvin Harrison, but until something happens with that situation with Justin Fields, whether they make a commitment or not, I feel like I feel like the only option is Caleb at this point.
I'm gonna shoot my shot. I know I said it like I don't know 3-4 weeks ago. I'm gonna stick with my guns and say MHJ.
I do
I'm
like
going to
it.
Stick with the guns and say that.
So the current
And-
consensus pick is Caleb by It's 97% of the consensus. That's yeah.
Let's go 3%ers. Let's do it 3%ers.
And then it's Jaden Daniels at 2. And then it is Drake May at 3 to the New England Patriots. Which I actually really
And
love.
MHJ.
Yeah, and then MHJ to the Cardinals.
Ugh, I'm sorry.
And then it's a split decision. It is 33% suggest that the Los Angeles Chargers select Joe Alt. That is your top 5
I don't mind that.
consensus pick right now.
Okay, let me ask you this then. On the teams on the first round, we should make a little bet here since people can see us right now. And now, and by the way, guys, when we make bets, now you'll be able to see. You'll be able to see if we follow through. Because Shane pointed out a couple weeks ago when I said, what was your worst play of the year? Or your worst call of the year? And I said Miles Sanders is a top 5 quarter or running back. Yeah, I didn't mention that. And I know I was supposed to take drinks for that. So maybe next week I take my drinks for losing that because I was way off. But how many surprises do you think we see in the first round this year? Like trade ups, trade backs. If you had to shoot your shot on a number, how many think are going to happen?
Trades?
Yeah.
5.
Like how many? 5? You like that number?
That was my number, so I'm on full tilt. I would say that the Vegas would put the number at over under 4.5. So
I was going to say 4.5, 5.5. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that there's 5 trades or weird picks. Like, when I say weird, like players that were projected in the second round that go in the first type weird.
I'm going to say, I'm just going to throw out, I'll say under 4.5 just to be different. Only because the amount of offensive linemen and wide receivers in this draft are so substantial. I mean, it is unreal. We all know Brock Bowers is going first round, right? But other than that, I don't think unless a team is like desperate for a running back and they have, like Shane alluded to, just full conviction in a guy, I don't think a running back's going first round.
No.
And there are so many wide receivers and offensive linemen. I mean, the offensive linemen just dwarf defensive linemen. There could be like 11 or 12 first-round offensive linemen in this draft. There's that many.
Yeah,
so I'll say under.
I will say that I think it's funny that everybody ends up doing all of these mocks and stuff, and because the industry is so fantasy focused, everybody seems to omit defensive players in their mock drafts because everybody wants to see the splashy offensive signing.
Breaking news.
Breaking news.
Yeah, what do you got? Dang, I don't have a breaking news button.
Keenan Allen traded to the Bears.
No. Is that a rumor? Is that
No,
real?
that happened.
Oh my gosh, that happened. Oh my gosh, Keenan Allen traded to the Bears for a 4th-round pick. Whoa.
Chargers moving up to get MHJ.
Whoa. Bro,
Chargers staying pat and taking Malik Neighbors.
Bro,
Probably.
are you kidding? They no Mike Williams and no Keenan Allen.
Josh Palmer season, baby.
They're gonna
Yeah,
run.
did
They're gonna run the football.
Bro, with who? Gus Edwards?
Apparently, it is.
I
It
guess.
is Harbaugh. They're gonna draft Blake. They're gonna draft Blake Corum in the 4th round, and they're gonna run with Gus Edwards and Blake Corum.
They just straight up offloaded all their savvy vets.
Yeah, can you imagine
like
being
Judd
Justin Herbert
Herbert
right now?
Yeah, like he is probably pissing down his leg a little bit. Like, what the hell? Oh my gosh.
That's crazy.
Yeah, all of your
Okay,
Keenan
so-
Allen fantasy shares just possibly went doo-doo.
Okay, can I? Okay, so now I don't think the Bears draft a wide receiver I don't think they draft him AJ.
I was
I
like, I was about to say, I was like, come on, you've had better takes.
So I'm gonna jump on the Caleb Williams bandwagon now. That's insane, dude.
Welcome to the 97%.
I am, yeah. I'm
Come join
make it
us.
98 now because I just brought everybody with me. 98%, son. Okay, wow. So that's pretty cool, and it's odd. Wow, Keenan Allen. So now they have DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, Darnell Mooney.
No Darnell. No Darnell.
Sorry, no Darnell. Sorry, and Cole Kmet. Okay, yeah, and DeAndre Swift.
Yeah, that is actually a pretty nice offense.
Yeah, I mean, it's...
Now they just have to go get offensive linemen.
Yeah, so maybe that's who they take, number one?
No,
they won't.
No, they'll take...
It's still going to be Caleb.
They're going to go Caleb, and then maybe they'll trade back from 9 and end up at, like... Maybe they'll trade back from 9 to 11 plus picks for Minnesota, and Minnesota will take JJ there to avoid Denver jumping them with the Jets pick. That would be my thought process.
Yeah, I like that.
But
that is pretty nuts.
Yeah, I thought it was crazy because I thought they were going to draft Romadunze at 9 after they drafted Caleb. So, which is funny enough, like one of the popular mock picks there.
You think?
Yeah, I think that there's
number 9.
I think that there are 2 tackles taken in the top 10. Agreed. And I think there's one defensive player that's for sure top 10, and that's Dallas Turner.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But I think that, Joe Alt and Fashuna or Fuaga are going to be the 2, maybe 3 tackles in the top 10.
Yeah.
And I don't think that they get out of the top 10. So if they do, it's Merry Christmas to whoever's there still.
Come on, Pittsburgh.
I will say, this tackle stack is absolutely loaded, and so is the guard class is good, but it's really not fantastic. Like Cooper Beebe being the headliner for the true guards is very interesting to me. No disrespect, Cooper. We love you. Go Cats. But I think that it's an interesting. Yeah, I think it's very interesting to see where these things are going to shake out. And if some of these tackles move to guard, like Graham Barton from Duke, and Jackson Powers Johnson, he's a center, but he could move to guard. So those things are interesting. That's also who they have you picking, Matt. Just saying, is Jackson Powers Johnson.
Okay, I'm cool with it, dude. I think any player you get in the first round in this draft here,
it feels nice.
Is going to be good. Yeah, it's gonna be nice. It's gonna be real nice.
Unless you draft one of the quarterbacks, and then one of them's going to bust.
No, I don't want to draft a quarterback. We got a free quarterback. Okay.
Yes, you did. You did indeed.
Yeah. Okay, guys, we're dang near to our time limit here. So, if you guys don't have anything else to add to this, that'll be enough of the free agent talk unless something crazy happens. We might cover a little bit more. We do plan on now jumping into Dynasty next week. I'd like to do a mock draft. I would really love for one of our subscribers or 2 or 3 or 4 of our subscribers to get into a mock draft with us. And we have time limits on all that stuff on each pick. So it wouldn't take forever to do. I would love to do something like that. I know the guys would as well. But now we're going to kind of start talking about Dynasty fantasy, how we like to go about it, trades, good trades, things you can potentially get away with. And then I think our plan is, at least for the first round, we want to jump on with you guys live when the draft is starting and just kind of go through picks. And I think that's a consensus with all 3 of us. It'll be a longer episode, but we'd like to be able to set it up to where you guys can ask us questions while the draft is going on. We can help answer questions, so on and so forth, about players and picks and what we think and what we don't like and so on and so forth. But that's kind of what our plan is. So do you guys have anything else to add on to any of that?
No, I'm just waiting for the point where I get to tell you who my sleeper is, because I'm super pumped.
Yeah, that's going to be next episode.
Okay.
Next
ready
episode,
for it.
You can talk about your sleepers.
Bruh. The number one sleeper.
can't-
Everybody needs to remember the name. It's okay. It's fine.
You don't forget it now. Don't give away all your secrets now, Shane. Okay.
His comp is
You know what I'm saying?
Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Okay, there you go. There's a little teaser. He just gave you a little teaser of that. So do your research on that, okay? We got a lot of things going on right now, guys. We're all watching the Players Championship right now as well. It is golf season for us, so maybe we can sprinkle and dibble dabble into some bets. I know we were, Jason, right? You like that?
Yeah, love it.
We were dabbling into some bets before the podcast started. So, guys, man, just keep doing your thing. We'll keep doing ours. Keep subscribing, following us. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. If you guys do want to participate in this draft with us next week, this mock draft, hit us up. Okay.
Leave a comment on YouTube.
Yeah. Oh yeah. There you go. We're on YouTube now. Leave a comment out there. All right. Let us know what you guys think. But yeah, man, we love y'all to the moon and back. So with that being said, I think y'all know what to do. Oh, that was a wrong drop. See, my head's not even right now. I got to get back to the main drop, boys. All right, y'all know what to do.
Hey, fellas. Again, it's draft season. Go run those mock drafts and make your team unbeatable. Let's do it.
Yeah, I'll post some live bets for the Players Championship over the weekend, so hit me up on Twitter, y'all.
That's what I'm talking about. Until next time, we love y'all. Bye-bye.
Everybody say bye.
Did you get it?